Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm speaking to you for the first time as Canada's Foreign Minister as we gather in this assembly on the traditional territory of the Nalape people. The Secretary General has said that we are in rough seas, that a winter of global discontent is on the horizon, that we have a duty to act. I agree with him. From Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine and the impacts around the world, to the COVID pandemic, to climate change, to severe conflicts and hardships that now affect billions of people, the challenges we are facing are immense. These crises and the way we choose to respond to them are testing our shared commitment to the United Nations. That's why our decisions matter now more than ever. We have a choice. Either we respect and defend the rules that we collectively have developed for generations and that have given us the longest period of peace in modern history, or we accept that rules can be broken by the powerful, bringing us back to darker times of constant tensions and conflicts, with massive displacements, suffering, and losses of human lives. For Canada, the choice is clear. We're convinced that we need more multilateralism, not less. We need more of the UN, not less. And we need a UN that is effective, efficient, relevant, and accountable. Throughout its history, Canada has strived to act as an honest broker, ready to build bridges between nations and differing points of view. We have worked tirelessly over the years to conceive, develop, and strengthen the international system that we now know. We will continue to do so, and we will continue to do so with all of you. Last week, the Canadian delegation, led by Prime Minister Trudeau, met with leaders and civil society members from around the world. Canada has been listening, and we hear you. Many describe and condemn Russia's further invasion of Ukraine as brutal, illegal, and unjustified, as a violation of the UN Charter. We agree with you. Many describe the uneven recovery from the global COVID-19 pandemic as incompatible with simple fairness, but also as a danger to public health. Again, we agree with you. You shared profound concern that achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals is at risk. And we agree we must address this head on. People from all corners of the globe clearly said climate change is no longer on the horizon. It is here, and it is hitting the most vulnerable the hardest. This is undeniable. The hearts of all Canadians go out to those affected by the devastating floods in Pakistan, as well as to our fellow citizens who found themselves in the destructive path of Hurricane Fiona. Many conversations this week have focused on the harsh fact that more people are displaced by conflict and violence today than at any point in human history. I heard unmistakable appeals for accountability, including for the victims of Plight PS 752. Women and girls describe their needs to have control over their own futures, over their own body, which is their right. Brave individuals shared deeply personal testimonies of their painful experiences of sexual violence and conflict. We believe them. Such violence is unacceptable and it must change. We must empower survivors in leading the path to their recovery and support them in the pursuit of meaningful justice. Freedom of speech, disinformation and misinformation, the protection of minorities, the rule of law, respect for science, facts, and evidence. Powerful statements were made on these issues this week. They speak to an erosion of civic space and democratic dialogue. Canada hears you. We do not come to these discussions with easy fixes. We have come to listen, to engage, and to share our commitments to respond to this moment in a positive way, with purpose and in a spirit of global solidarity. Mr. President, the world has heard terrible stories of Ukrainians losing loved ones to Russia's senseless war. This Assembly has spoken clearly and with conviction. Russia's aggressions against Ukraine violates the UN Charter. It strikes at the heart of the commitment we all made in building this organization from the dark tragedy of the Second World War. Rather than follow this Assembly's decisions and a legally binding order from the International Court of Justice, Russia has doubled down, including with a desperate effort to justify the unjustifiable. While the world gathered here in New York to pursue solutions for the greatest challenges of our time, President Putin informed that he will conscript more young people into his war of choice. He threatened our collective security with reckless and dangerous nuclear rhetoric. For Putin, this is a war to the death. For Ukraine, it is a war for life. Russia's war machine has caused enormous civilian suffering and destruction in Ukraine. The mass graves discovered in Izium are the latest demonstration of Putin's disregard for human life. The impacts of this illegal war are profoundly felt around the world. We must address the global food security crisis and other consequences of the illegal invasion with imagination and determination. And those who break the law must be met with the force of the law. A permanent seat on the Security Council is not a license to kill, nor to silence anyone, and it should never guarantee impunity. Monsieur le Président, nous sommes confrontés à des crises majeures. La pandémie de la COVID-19, les changements climatiques, les conflits. Les crises qui étaient autrefois exception sont aujourd'hui la règle. Ces crises mettent à rude épreuve notre capacité d'atteindre les cibles du programme de développement durable à l'horizon 2030. Il nous faut donner un solide coup de barre afin de changer le cours des choses. Un effort de sauvetage urgent et mondial s'impose. Nous devons nous rallier et travailler ensemble pour le bien commun. La seule voie possible pour le Canada et pour le monde est celle de la mise en œuvre de nos objectifs de développement durable. Du point de vue économique, nous avons encore beaucoup à faire pour atteindre une véritable égalité entre États membres. Nous avons bien écouté ce que nos partenaires, nos amis des pays du Sud nous ont dit. Nous entendons leur message de façon très claire. Les institutions financières internationales doivent être réformées. Elles doivent être capables de s'adapter aux crises d'aujourd'hui. Et le Canada répond présent. Aucun pays ne doit être laissé pour compte. Nous travaillerons d'arrache-pied avec nos partenaires pour une réforme juste et équitable du système financier mondial. Il en va de l'équité, mais aussi il en va de la paix et de la stabilité mondiale. Monsieur le Président, la pandémie de la COVID-19 a fauché la vie de près de 6,5 millions de personnes à travers le monde. Le Canada est déterminé à mettre fin à cette pandémie et à en prévenir d'autres. Ensemble, nous allons poursuivre le combat contre le VIH, la tuberculose et la malaria. La semaine dernière, le premier ministre Trudeau s'est engagé à investir 1,2 milliard de dollars pour soutenir ces efforts. Parlons maintenant de changement climatique. Nous devons agir avec le même sentiment d'urgence que celui que nous avons démontré durant la pandémie de la COVID. La science nous le dit, nous devons en faire plus et plus rapidement. L'ouragan Fiona, qui a frappé plusieurs îles des Antilles et l'Est du Canada, n'en est que le dernier exemple. De l'Arctique aux petits États insulaires, les dérèglements climatiques constituent une menace existentielle et nous en subissons les effets à chaque jour. Le Canada s'est engagé à réduire ses émissions de gaz à effet de serre de 40 à 45 % d'ici 2030, puis d'atteindre la carboneutralité d'ici 2050. et nous nous sommes dotés d'un plan crédible pour y arriver. Le Canada participera à la COP27 en Égypte. Et nous avons bien hâte d'accueillir le monde entier chez moi, à Montréal, pour la COP15 sur la biodiversité, sous la présidence de la Chine. Notre priorité est d'assurer le succès de cette conférence où nous travaillerons ensemble pour renverser la perte alarmante d'espèces animales et végétales. Il en va de notre propre survie. Monsieur le Président, il n'y a pas de solution simple aux défis auxquels nous sommes confrontés. Mais il est évident que de s'isoler, de mépriser la règle de droit et de réduire les gens au silence est contraire au progrès. Et pourtant, certains pays restreignent les libertés civiles, violent les droits de la personne et surveillent massivement leur population. Cette tendance vers l'autoritarisme est des plus inquiétantes. Ce phénomène est particulièrement visible dans la région du Xinjiang en Chine. À cet effet, la publication du rapport des Nations unies sur les droits de la personne constitue une étape essentielle. Ces conclusions reflètent d'ailleurs des récits crédibles d'abus constituant des crimes contre l'humanité. Le Canada s'inquiète de la répression des droits humains que nous observons dans plusieurs pays. L'Université des droits de la personne est bien connue. On le sait, ces droits humains sont universels par nature. On ne peut donc se cacher derrière des prétextes de souveraineté nationale pour les violer. Il y a des limites à défendre l'indéfendable. Nous sommes d'avis que la démocratie, bien qu'imparfaite, reste le meilleur système pour protéger les droits de la personne et pour progresser en matière de développement durable. Toutes nos démocraties font face à des défis. Chez nous, comme ailleurs, nous devons composer avec l'apathie, l'anxiété et la méfiance envers nos institutions. Monsieur le Président, le Canada est également déterminé à combattre le racisme systémique et nous continuons à prendre des mesures concrètes pour poursuivre la voie de la réconciliation avec les peuples autochtones. En 2017, le Premier ministre Trudeau a prononcé ici, en cette Chambre, un discours important et a parlé de notre propre héritage du colonialisme au Canada. Nous travaillons sans relâche pour remédier à ce chapitre sombre de notre histoire et nous savons que la pleine participation des peuples autochtones est fondamentale au développement d'un monde plus juste. Monsieur le Président, l'égalité des femmes et des filles dans toute leur diversité est primordiale à la paix, à la justice et à la prospérité. Comme c'est le cas pour plusieurs pays, le Canada est fier d'avoir une politique étrangère féministe. Ensemble, nous bâtissons une coalition mondiale en appui à l'égalité. C'est ainsi que nous allons repousser les attaques croissantes contre les droits et libertés des femmes. En Afghanistan, les talibans empêchent les femmes et les filles d'aller à l'école. Au Myanmar, les femmes courageuses qui réclament haut et fort le retour du système démocratique sont emprisonnées par la junte militaire, torturées et sujettes à d'affreux actes de violence sexuelle. Mr. President, in Iran, women protesting the death of Mahsa Amini are met with arrests and bullets. We salute their courage and join them in sending a strong message that women's rights are human rights. Today, Prime Minister Trudeau announced that Canada will sanction those responsible, including Iran's so-called morality police and its leadership. From Sudan to Haiti, women peace builders, human rights defenders, and activists are being targeted. We must continue to speak up for the rights of women and girls and to support, protect, recognize, and include women peace builders. We must also relentlessly pursue accountability for sexual violence. We will continue to push for justice for UNGA women, and we will not rest until those responsible for sexual violence committed in Ukraine are held to account. The UN Charter enshrines faith, in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of human person, in the equal rights of men and women. And yet, we are seeing rising violence, the widening crackdown on rights and freedoms, the exclusion of women and girls from the negotiating table, the boardroom, the classroom. Sexual and reproductive health rights for women and girls are being rolled back or denied in too many countries. None of this is by accident. These are all deliberate choices. To all women in this room and women around the world, we hear you. And Canada will always stand up for your right to choose. We will fight for your full, equal, and meaningful participation in all walks of life. We will speak up for your rights and dignity. No government, no politician, no judge, no one can take that away from you. Mr. President, as I've said, the world needs more multilateralism, more of the UN, not less. To do so, we must restore trust among us. The crises we're facing have shown both the strengths and weaknesses of the structures we built nearly 80 years ago. We have been able to respond to this more serious hardship with compassion and effectiveness. But we can do better. Political paralysis and the abuse of the veto are undermining the Security Council. We encourage efforts to reduce the power of the veto, to expand membership, and to ensure the voices of all are heard and responded to across the whole UN system. UN peace operations also demand our efforts. Today, peacekeeping faces immense challenges. Canada has long contributed to UN efforts to reduce conflict, and we will continue to do so. Engagement with the United Nations is a core commitment of Canadians. We were there at the UN's creation, and today we are more engaged than ever. We will always engage with candor and directness, because we do not equate diplomacy with deception or global politics with global platitudes. The UN Charter begins with the words, "We, the peoples of the world." We must remember that the fate of billions of people alive today and those yet to be born is at stake in all the work we do. We owe them our best effort of heart, mind, and soul. We can meet the test that time and circumstance have placed before us, with hope, with courage, and with a commitment to act for citizens today and for future generations to follow. Thank you, Mr. President.